There is a source to all the mystery and the magic and the infinite plethora of parallel realities and universes and all that. There is a source behind all of that that has absolutely nothing to do with your brain, absolutely nothing to do with your mind. And people try to reduce that. They don't realize it. They don't attain it. They don't actually go get acquainted with true infinity experientially beyond the mind, beyond the physical body, the mental and subtle bodies, and the causal body. They don't get familiar with God, let alone the absolute or the truly infinite in its absolute undistorted state. People fail to penetrate it. And yes, it's a very, very subtle material. It requires a lot of desire and practice and dedication. It's not an overnight thing. For almost virtually nobody is it an overnight thing. I could pretty much say for nobody. But because they failed and they got tired of trying, this is a generalization, but this is one motivation for it in some teachers or sub-communities or students. They got tired of it, they didn't quite get it, and now the only way to feel comfortable with their quest is to intellectualize spirituality in ways that don't seem intellectual to them. That seems like the real deal. This is why it's a trap. It's a perversion of true spirituality. It's a form of reductionism. So not only now do they reduce their own experience by accepting psychology as being enough, but now, in order to feel comfortable with that or still feel like experts in the field, because they have all these peers looking at them and community members and have been going to all these satsangs and meetings for so long, now they'll create a mental framework of teachings and investigations and inquiries and so forth that will reduce true spirituality, which they have not attained. And if they have glimpsed it, they have failed to maintain it and continue their devotion to it. And they try to bring that down to a very mundane type of existence. So they turn spirituality into a form of psychology, either without knowing that they're doing it. Again, like if you fully know you're doing it, you wouldn't be doing it. So it's always some form of unconscious behavior to protect oneself, to boost one's own sense of feeling comfortable and accomplished within oneself, to feel like an expert in your field when people that you've been hanging around with for 20 years, going to certain teachers, studying certain books, and you share a certain language with, you got to consistently innovate to stay at the top of your game. You got it, and it bastardizes true spirituality, true liberation, true freedom, true enlightenment more and more and more until you've got this fake dry desert land of the mind. A desert is empty, but it's dry as fuck. It's not like space. It's not like, but it will act like space. It will appear as spacious and peaceful and content. And this is why I keep encouraging, if anything, like if I die today, forget my teachings, remember this one thing. Because it's not about my words either. Remember this one thing. And that is never forsaken the seeking impulse, for it's the truest thing about you. And it's your lifeline amidst this mist of man-made contraptions and false teachings, mistaken ideologies. It's your lifeline to truth. It's your lifeline to true spirituality. You cannot reduce true spirituality to a form of psychology or investigation. You can't. It's impossible. All you'll do is you'll checkmate yourself in your own subtle mental body, and you won't know you're doing it. And the mental body can absolutely pose as emptiness, as peaceful, as content, but it's a complete trap. And it's painful to the soul. So you might feel more content and more peaceful at a personal level, but I prefer an intense, eager, frustrated seeker that just wants to get to the bottom of things. And it's so frustrated that it's not there yet. And it just can't handle the things in its life. And it's willing to even bypass if it needs to get to true understanding. That's passion. That's the creator begging to know itself in the form of a human consciousness. Don't try to become peaceful. Continue to seek. That is your lifeline. Never stop seeking, no matter what any teacher tells you, that seeking is a trap, that there's nobody here to seek, that who is doing the seeking, who is doing the talking. Seek your fucking ass up until you're dead, until you're either your ego is dead or your body has lost its lively disincarnation. But continue to seek. Of course, balance yourself, nourish yourself, don't go nuts, but trust that seeking impulse. More than anything, more than any teacher, more than any guru, more than any book, more than me, trust the seeking impulse, because that's the Creator whispering to you every single fucking second of your life. And if you try to intellectualize that and reduce that to some form of psychologically investigated emptiness, or you're fucked. Because you're in a trap. True spirituality is always about greater freedom and greater love for others, but not in a conventional sense. It's about true care, true authenticity. But to keep it really simple, true spirituality, not psychologically reduced spirituality, which has nothing to do with spirituality. True spirituality emphasizes, ultimately, it may have other work to incorporate to balance the psychology. Okay, it may have some shadow work. It may have knowing your unconscious mind and coming to an acceptance of that and healing that. That's all beautiful work, and it's required to form a solid foundation. But in the end, if the end game of that teaching is not total absolute freedom, it's a form of psychology. It's not spirituality. If you don't feel freer and freer, but you feel more and more right, a sure sign you've fallen into a trap. And a lot of these things, a lot of these teachings are subtly about being right.
Wow.
But people don't recognize that. So maybe now you do. Now you have this knowledge, this warning, if you will. True spirituality is about freedom. Psychologically reduced spirituality is typically about some version of being right, getting it right, by not being an ego, by not seeking, by deconstructing your search for the Creator, by deconstructing God and reality, and arriving at some kind of sense of emptiness and contentment and peacefulness with. If the aim becomes peace of mind, we've lost our mind. The aim should be freedom. The aim should be truth. The aim should be the Creator knowing itself in its full, infinite, absolute glory. Unless it's not what you want. And then that's great. Like, no offense. If what you want is peace of mind and you've struggled all your life and you don't want enlightenment, but then don't call it enlightenment. And don't try to reduce enlightenment to your needs. Your needs are valid. If you need peace, if you need healing, if you need cuddling, if you need cuddles, if you need love, if you need sweetness, if you need to heal these things, and that's your priority, and that's what would satisfy you, then you absolutely have my blessing, and none of what I say has to apply to you. But if you're a spiritual seeker, and you know that you are, and you want the truth, you have to fall in love with the struggle of trusting the seeking impulse, which goes against everything mankind has ever told you, including most of the spiritual teachers and teachings. Passion, the fire of your passion. If you are a spiritual seeker and you actually want enlightenment, then never extinguish that flame, by no means. Good thing is you can never fully do it. You'll die, you'll review your life, and you'll be like, oh, fuck, I was kind of caught in that trap. Let's go again. So you can never lose that life force. You can only cover it up in this life. So don't worry too much about it, but you might as well use this life, no?